So thank you for coming out, guys. I'd like to thank Miss Emery for being her. She's been coaching me with speaking for the past year now, and if it weren't for her, I probably wouldn't be up here today. I'd like to thank the theater staff for allowing me to use their wonderful facility to talk to you guys today. You guys for showing up, obviously. And of course, Daesoon Kang, my film director and partner in this project. We're very excited to be doing this year. And like I said, I've been dreaming of this day for over a year now. I mean, I've been saying speeches in front of crowds before, but this is the first one that I get to put my name on. And so I've been preparing for it for a very long time. And in preparing for it, I've learned a couple things. I've learned a couple things about myself. I've learned a couple things in general. I've learned that I don't know how to tie a tie. And you might be thinking that that's why I'm not wearing one today. You'd be correct. I learned that in order to make a good first impression on an audience, you need to have a clean-cut look, which involves having a wrinkle-free shirt. I don't know how to iron. I learned that if you admit to your girlfriend that you don't know how to iron your own shirt, she will look at you like you're crazy, and she may contemplate leaving you. I've learned that no matter how many times I check my zipper to make sure I'm not flying low backstage, I will still somehow convince myself that it unzipped itself while walking on stage, and I will feel self-conscious. I've also learned, and I will use this in the future, that my next seminar 2 weeks from now, I will be sure to visit the washroom before I step on stage, because your bladder chooses the perfect time to tell you it's nervous too, like backstage. But in all seriousness, I have been very nervous for this speech. I mean, I didn't have the exact date picked out, but I had this in my mind for over a year. And as much as I was excited about it, I've been ecstatic about it for a year, I've also had the nervousness and anxiety eating away at me. I was scared a year ago, I was scared a week ago, I was scared 2 minutes ago before I started talking, and I'm still scared now. But I was reading a book last week, this is off script, I was reading a book last week on Nelson Mandela. And the author said that, I'm paraphrasing here obviously, because these aren't his exact words, but he said that Nelson Mandela views courage like this. He says that courage is not the disability to feel fear. Courage is to pretend that you're brave when you're scared inside. And so if I'm successful, that's what I'm doing today. So if I'm successful, I may seem brave or confident up on stage when really I'm screaming inside. On with the talk. I'd like to start off today by painting a picture for you in your mind. I want you to imagine that you are in a park. You're in a park, it's overlooking the river. There are children playing on the swing sets and the slide. And you're sitting in the middle of the park at a picnic table eating your favorite meal. Your favorite meal, whatever it is. Pizza, burgers, fries, fruit salad, whatever it is. You finish your meal and you decide to go for a walk. There's a paved path that runs along the river, and so you take it. And as you are walking along the path, the sunlight is glistening over the water. The sound of the children's laughter gets fainter and fainter as you put more distance between you and the park. Now, you come around a bend in the path, and you approach an old white picket fence. It's surrounding a graveyard. And so you walk through the front gate, and you start walking through the cemetery, looking at all of the stones. Now, anyone in this room who has been to a cemetery before, you'll know that every single gravestone has the name of the deceased written at the top, and then underneath is a list of all the accomplishments that that person made while they were alive, or a quote that best describes who they were when they were living. But as you're walking through the cemetery, you notice something different. You notice something profoundly distinct about this cemetery that's different from the rest. The name is at the top of all the gravestones, but underneath, instead of a list of accomplishments or a quote, you see that underneath their name is a list of all the dreams, all of the talents, all the abilities, all the skills that that person did not bring into the world while they were alive. And so you're walking through this cemetery devastated, in shock and awe, as you look at all these things that were never brought out into the world. ideas that were never shared with us, inventions never exposed to us, books never written, songs never sung, plays never performed, poems never shared. Now I want you to think of a different scenario. A little darker, but bear with me. I want you to picture that you are on your deathbed. You're in the hospital bed, underneath the covers, staring at the blank white walls. You can feel death coming. You know that any minute now, you'll be gone, just like that. Your life will be over and you will be removed from the earth. And standing around you in the room are all of your dreams, all of your talents, all of your abilities, all of your skills, all of your ideas and ambitions. And they're looking at you, the fire burning behind their eyes. And they say, "We were yours. And only you could have brought us into the world. But you didn't. And now, we will go with you to your grave forever." It's not a pretty picture. I know that. It's not at all a happy thought to imagine that you are on your deathbed and you realize that you, like so many others, did not bring all of your greatness into the world while you had the chance. I know that that's not at all a fairy tale. But you can see the destructive impact that it has when you don't go after your dreams and when you don't try to achieve your goals and stretch yourself. Now, no one in this room has every single one of their dreams and their goals accomplished in their life right now. I think that that's a fair statement. I think it's safe to say that none of us have accomplished all that we're going to accomplish in our life. I mean, think about it. We can't possibly set our sights on achieving a lifetime worth of greatness in only 16 or 17 years at the most, right? So let's understand that as the current reality of where we are. We're still young. We're still discovering ourselves, discovering what we want to do with our lives, who we want to be, what impact we want to make on the world. We're choosing schools that we want to enroll into, programs that we want to take part in. So we're still discovering who we are, what we want to do. We're setting goals for ourselves, dreams for ourselves, and we're going after them. But most people don't go after their dreams. Why is that? Why is it that so many people take all of their greatness with them when they die? Why is that? I find that I ask myself this question a lot, and I've ruled out some things. I know that many people who take all of their talents and their dreams and their abilities with them to their grave, I know that it can't possibly be the fact that that person didn't have greatness in them. I know that it can't possibly be the fact that they didn't have dreams or have goals. Every single person in this room has a dream or a goal. Many in fact, like we haven't even discovered some of our dreams and our goals that we will down the road. Every single person on the planet has a desire of something more in life. They want to be more than who they are. They want to be someone else than who they are right now, and they want to do more than what they've done. So it can't possibly be the fact that the disability to dream is what made those people take all of their greatness with them when they die. So what is it? Why is it that so many people don't go after their dreams? They don't do all that they want to do in their life. Now, there are many reasons as to why people don't go after their dreams, and I'm just scraping the surface as an introduction. I have two main contributing factors that I believe are reasons as to why people don't go after their dreams. The first is fear. Fear. It's a nasty word, isn't it? You get a little on edge when you hear the word fear. You get a little chill down your spine, a little anxious when you hear the word fear. See, fear is a dream killer for most people. Many of us fear all that is required of us to be successful. If you think about any ambition, any really, really big dream that you have, think of all the things that's required of you to be successful, and you will see that we fear all of the things that we must do in order to achieve that goal or to be successful with that dream. We fear leaving our comfort zones. We fear making a fool of ourselves in front of everyone. We fear other people's opinions being negative about us, our friends leaving us, people discouraging us, rejecting us. We fear failure. Failure is a large fear in all of us. Someone said that 87% of people allow the fear of failure to outweigh their desire to succeed. 87%. Think about the irony in that statement for a minute, and you'll understand just how cynical and negative fearing failure can be in your life, and how detrimental it can be to the health of your success. See, 87% of people allow the fear of not being successful to overcome their desire to try and be successful, to try at their dreams. And evidently, without the desire, there is no pursuit by the individual, making them inevitably unsuccessful in their endeavors. See, 87% of people allow the fear of not being successful to be the very thing that makes them so. So you can see how cynical fear can be when you allow it to disable you. But don't get me wrong, fear is not always bad. I know that I've given it a bad reputation so far, but fear cannot always be bad for you. Sometimes fear is a fantastic motivator when used in the right way, in the right context, when approached at the right angle, with the right insight and the right mindset. Fear can be a fantastic motivator. See, picture yourself 10 years down the road. You have a wife or kids, or a wife or husband, beautiful children, and you have a job. And you go to that job to provide for your family. And for whatever reason, work is not fulfilling right now. You are not enjoying work. And I have a feeling that many of us know what it feels like to not want to get out of bed and go to work. So for whatever reason, your boss is being mean to you, your coworkers are sabotaging you, they're cutting back on salary pays, whatever it is, for some reason you do not want to go to work. Now the fear of not being able to feed your children, the fear of not being able to put food on their plates, to be able to raise them in a good environment, in a good neighborhood, give them the education that they deserve, that fear can motivate you to get up early every morning and go to work, as opposed to handing in your resignation and saying, I quit. The same way that the fear of getting hit by a bus can motivate you to look both ways before crossing the road. So you can see that fear is a fantastic motivator when used in the right way. But when you allow it to disable you, when you allow it to paralyze you, it can be very detrimental to the health of your success. So what do we do when fear comes into our life? What do? You do 4 things. The first is recognize the fear. Recognize the fact that you are afraid when fear enters your life. Don't try to lie to yourself. Don't try to tell yourself that you aren't feeling fear when you really are. So recognize the fear. Understand the fear. What are you afraid of? And why are you afraid of it? Accept the fear. Accept the fact that you're afraid. Don't beat yourself up for being afraid. It's okay to be afraid of something. But you can't miss the 4th step. The 4th step is when you feel afraid of something, go through with it anyway. You have to do it anyway. So you can recognize the fear, understand it, accept it, but if you do not go through with it, then it's absolutely pointless, and it has defeated you. See, many of us believe that if we feel fear, that's our body telling us, our body knows something that we don't. That's our body telling us we can't physically go through with whatever we are afraid of, and it's trying to stop us from making a fool of ourselves, or dying, right? And so, you have to understand that you can feel afraid of something, but you still can do it. It doesn't mean that you can't do it just because you're afraid. So don't let fear disable you, run you off the tracks. Now the second thing that I believe many people allow to stop them from going after their dreams is lack of self-belief. Many people don't believe that they have what it takes to be successful. Many people view the world like this. This is what many of us view the world as, and I used to, and I'm sure many people still do. And it's not our fault. It's nothing personal. It's the way society's raised us. It's the way our parents have raised us. And it's the way we've viewed things as children during our childhood and absorbed it into our minds. We view the world like this. There's a very small group of people that were born, set out, destined, and made to be great, to change the world. Oprah Winfrey, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Michael Jordan, they're all in that group. And the rest of us are merely here to sit by on the sidelines and watch. That's not the way the world works. I'm here to tell you that that's not the reality. See, many of us believe that because we believe that talent and skill and being the strongest and the fastest and the smartest are all what determines whether you're successful. And while those are main factors that get you closer to success, it all comes down to one thing: believing that you can do it. Believing in yourself. Because you can have all else, but if you do not believe in yourself, then you will not be successful. What's the difference between the richest businesswoman in Toronto and someone with a failed business? What's the difference? She believed that she could do it. See, they both went through trials. They both went through tribulations. They both went through failures, rejections, down periods. But the difference is that at some point, the person with the failed business reached a certain point, reached a failure or an obstacle, and they believed that they could not do it anymore. And so they gave up. But the richest businesswoman in Toronto did not. She kept on going. And she succeeded. And that's why, in Toronto, there's a woman right now who has a very, very large bank account because she believed that she could do it. Here's an example. Take two brothers. They were born in the exact same house, raised in the exact same environment by the exact same parents, and one brother was born with a unique talent for playing the sport of soccer. Right? They were born with a gift, they say. He had all this natural physical ability, right from birth, to be able to play soccer. He started walking before all the other toddlers could walk. I don't know, 6, 7 months, whatever, I don't know when toddlers start walking. My mom says I was born yesterday, so clearly it takes effect quickly. But he could start walking before all the other toddlers could walk. He could run faster than any kid on the field when he got older, and he could shoot the ball harder than any other player. But he had a flaw. There was one thing about him that was it was just a major flaw for him. And it was the fact that he had no motivation when things got tough. When the ref made a bad call against him, he would complain. When the ball was taken away from him, he would blame other people, and when the coach pulled him off, he would look at the field, point at other players that he believed should be off and he should be on in their place. Now the other brother, however, was born with absolutely no talent. No physical talent for playing soccer. He didn't start walking until all the other toddlers could walk. He couldn't shoot the ball. Half the time when he tried to shoot the ball, he landed flat on his butt. He was the slowest runner on the field. But there was something different about him. He had a passion for the sport. He loved the sport so much that he believed there was no chance that he was put on the earth with the disability to be the greatest at soccer. So he had a passion for being successful. He had a passion for being good at it. He was the first one to every practice, the last one to leave, while all of his other teammates were out partying, drinking, making bad choices with their life, eating unhealthy. He was eating his vegetables like his mom told him to. He was on the field, practicing, day in and day out. Now, who do you think out of the two brothers made it to the World Cup? The answer is obvious. The brother with the motivation to be successful, the brother with the belief that he could do it, would make it to the World Cup. Because you can have all the talent in the world, you can have all the skills, all the abilities in the world, but if you don't believe in yourself, it won't happen for you. You won't be successful if you don't believe in yourself. And in the same token, you could have no talent whatsoever, no skill. You could be new in the field entirely, but if you have an unyielding desire to be successful, an undying belief that you can do it no matter what, then you will be successful. So don't ever allow yourself to think that you can't do something. Limits are just imaginary. We set them, they're created in our mind. We set them for ourselves. And a side note, something that goes hand in hand with people who don't believe that they can do it is they make excuses. They make excuses. I mean, we all know someone who makes every excuse in the book when you ask them, why didn't you make that team? Why didn't you get that good grade? Why aren't you where you should be? Or why weren't you successful? I mean, some of these people, I swear, some of them go home every Friday night, lock the door to their room, and they just memorize excuse after excuse, because they have every single one under the sun. You ask them, why weren't you successful? They'll give you the same answer. Well, I wasn't born in a town with enough opportunities for me. My teacher didn't give me the grades that I thought I deserved. I didn't have enough money. I didn't have enough time. My parents didn't give me the right guidance. I didn't have a way of doing it somehow, right? And on and on and on. See, excuses are just our way of justifying giving up on our dreams. If someone walks into an interview and they don't get the job, and they are later asked why they did not get the job, most people would say it was because of that other guy. No, it wasn't. If you walk into an interview and you don't get the job, it's not because of the other guy who did get the job, or whatever connections he or she had. It's not because the person behind the desk did not like your buff man cologne during the interview. And it's not because that old lady cursed you on the street for bumping into her when you were rushing to make it on time to the interview. It's because of you. You are the sole reason as to why you did or did not get the job. Excuses are just our witless attempt at justifying our inaction, justifying our failures, and justifying giving up after we endure failures. So, how do you reverse excuses? How do you stop making excuses? You go to the opposite end of the spectrum. On one end, there's excuses, and on the opposite end is taking responsibility. So that's new to the table. Taking responsibility for your life. You have to understand that you are responsible for everything that happens. You have to look yourself in the mirror, talk to yourself, and say, I'm responsible for everything that has happened. I'm responsible for what is currently happening. And I will take responsibility for what happens in the future. And if you do that, if you take responsibility, if you don't allow fear to stop you, to paralyze you, if you refuse to make excuses, if you know within yourself that you can do it, then your life will change. Your life will change before your eyes. You will run after your dreams with more energy. You'll have more of a spring in your step. You'll talk a little louder, smile a little brighter. And when you look into the mirror, you'll see someone that you've never seen before. You'll see someone completely different. You won't recognize them. And they'll have a light in their eye and a smile that says, I'm running towards my dream. Thank you.